welcome back to the next update on Nexus of Onslaught. So if we recap what I wanted to look at this week, I wanted to fix my ranged enemy aiming. I wanted to do the trailer and Steam page, and to do that I had to look at more enemies. So how did that go? Well, it's been a trying week, to say the least. Might go so far as saying harrowing. So I'll start with the trailer. Now, in order to get the trailer done, I had to add the enemies, make sure everything's working as it's expected. Well, if I can look at the first thing, the ranged enemies, I did manage to fix the aiming. So they aim now properly before they attack, so that's great. One thing off the list. But what I noticed is in the past few weeks I've been focusing on the ranged enemies, and when I got around to testing everything, I noticed that the melee AI didn't work anymore. So at some point I broke it. I had no idea when I broke it, how I broke it, it's just not working. On top of that, if I can give you an illustration, this started happening with, there we go, they are rotating. Also no idea when this crept in. It did give me an idea for a new enemy, maybe. They hide like this and they turn unexpectedly, but for God's sake. Yeah, I managed to fix it properly, permanently. But that was just a taste of how this week went. I had to set up sequences. The recordings ended up being huge, like 7 gigs per recording. On top of that, once I was done with the recordings and I wanted to edit it together, those recordings didn't want to load in the software I used. To use the Unreal Engine logo, you have to go through an Unreal trademark agreement, which takes anything from 7 to 30 days. So it's just one thing on top of the other. It just made it super difficult to get it done. But despite all of that, I did end up finishing the trailer. It's about 2 minutes long and I'm happy with it. The issue with it is I cannot put the release date on it. Reason being, if we move on to the Steam page, so this is my own fault for not reading properly. Now, what the rules state is once you pay the application fee, I think it's $100, which is quite steep, but once you pay it, only 30 days after that can you release a game. So that's on me. I could have done that much earlier, but I didn't. The game has to be in a coming, or this page has to be in a coming soon status for 2 weeks. Not that bad. But on top of that, before any of this can happen, you need to go through a tax interview with them, which I completed, but that can take anything from 2 to 7 days to review. So it's just time upon time upon time. And the last thorn in my side is they need a review build that they can play, which will take between 1 to 5 days to review. But the problem is I've only been working on techniques, mechanics, and not actual game flow. So yeah, I won't be able to give them a build even if I can get the Steam page up. Now retrospectively, I want to submit to Playtopia as well, which means I'll have to have a playable build for them as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Trailer is done, but I'm waiting for all the admin to happen around Steam, so I can actually figure out what the release date will be. I'm hoping very much that it's going to be in the middle of July. Otherwise end of July. It is what it is. This is part and parcel of developing a game, I suppose. But what it did highlight to me is a lot of information that I did not have. So at the end of this whole process, I will be making a video just putting all of those pieces together. But if it'll help someone else out there, fantastic. Just so you know everything up front that you need to take into account when you're making a game. So yeah, a harrowing week with lots of things to stumble over, but putting the trailer together forced me to make quite a few changes. So first of those is this little arrow here is a spawner component. So it'll spawn. I can specify what type of enemy to spawn. The delay is just when it receives the message to spawn, it delays a bit. That was useful for me in the trailer, and I think it might be useful in the game itself. Flip orientation is just to make... I've made all the sprites look to the right, so flip orientation will spawn the enemy looking to the left. And well, some setting I was just messing around with some settings, as it says. But the spawner works quite nicely, so I've just put it on a key trigger here, so that's pretty cool. I have not made it check for if there's already an enemy there. It'll just create a crowd. But I'll still fix that. Now I've also added new enemies. So if we look at them, first one I added is a witch, ranged enemy. Which I think is quite nice. Nice projectiles. So yeah, that's one ranged enemy. I've added a skeleton mage, another ranged enemy. Yep. Same. Also with a fixed aiming. Shoot me. There we go. And then I added melee enemies. This skeleton warrior. He's super hard to block. His attack is really fast, which is great actually. That's going to add to the gameplay. And a minotaur. So these are all sprite assets from the same artist who made the characters that I'm using, which is cool, but it's still difficult to find something that fits the art to make it look cohesive. There's a masked orc that I added, but as you can see, he's got the outline and he looks a bit more pixelated. He looks more like a different game. He doesn't fit completely, and that is going to be the challenge, I think, for me, getting art that fits. But yeah, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Now, one other thing that I did is, if I look at the main map, I added a door to the area now. This featured in the trailer, which is why I needed to do it. It was always my plan to do it. Yeah, there's the door, and once you get inside deep enough, it shuts. Now you're stuck in here, which is great. That was on the list for a long time to do. Now it's done. So, in terms of making an actual playable build, what I'll have to do is work on my character select, incorporate menus, and actually make a death state. So for the character select, what I want to do is that this entire level is actually what loads upon game start. And it's looking, that's what this camera is, it's looking here. And then once you start the game, it zooms out up to here and you can select your characters. Now I've already done that in a fashion. Connect that one. And connect this. This is all still messy, but it works. With the little prompt at the bottom. And if you select one, oops. So working from left to right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, if you select a character, you can play with him, and you can carry on choosing or changing your characters up until the point where you enter the arena, which is exactly what I wanted. I might still add some obstacles and stuff here so you can test the character out that you've chosen. Probably definitely do that. But for now this is cool. And then once you enter, no more character select. Now you play with this one. So this is already fantastic. Exactly how I need it for the playable build. What I need to do though is incorporate a menu. So there is a menu system that I've bought actually two menu systems. One that I'm going to use for this, well, I'm probably going to use both. I've incorporated it already somewhat. I'll just take this off. That's fine. So this event. Wow, alright. As I was saying, that's a very nice and robust menu system that's already working. All the settings and everything. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel by making my own. But the one thing is, it's not going to be like a traditional menu where once you click new game, it goes into a different level. I obviously wanted to just stay in the current one and fire off an event. So I'll have to tweak it a bit to suit my needs. So yeah, that's where I'm at this stage. So for next week, what I'll need to, or what I want to have done, is have this character select working in conjunction with the actual menu. I'll need to incorporate the pause menu. I'll need a death state, a death screen as well, so once you die it goes back to the menu somehow. And then I want to make a game mode that can handle the spawning of enemies in this arena. And then obviously, once I get all the admin done with Steam, I can get the Steam page up and release the trailer. So yeah, quite a bit to do this week, but despite the week that's behind me, I feel like progress has been made, and yeah, I hope for a good week. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week.